I've heard stories about the Duttons.
The fact that you're doing this tells me you haven't heard them all.
No one escapes unscathed from death and violence.
The moment we've all been waiting for may finally be here. After being manipulated for so long, Kayce could be closer than ever to discovering who Dolly really is. And if the new Marshals Season 2 trailer is any indication, the truth may come out much sooner than anyone expected. But what exactly makes Kayce suspicious? Why does Dolly suddenly seem to be losing control of the situation? And could this be the beginning of Tom Weaver's downfall? The trailer gives us several clues, and once you connect them all together, a very different picture starts to emerge. The newly released trailer for Marshals Season 2 may have only given us a short look at what's coming next, but it revealed something incredibly important. For the first time, it feels like Kayce is no longer blindly trusting everything happening around him. Throughout Season 1, we watched Dolly carefully position herself as someone Kayce could rely on. Every time trouble appeared, she somehow managed to be close enough to help while still keeping herself far away from suspicion. At first, it seemed like coincidence. Then it started happening again and again. And now, after everything that happened in the season finale, it feels like Kayce may finally be starting to notice the pattern. One of the biggest clues comes from the attack shown in the trailer. We see armed men targeting East Camp once again. On the surface, it looks like another dangerous situation that puts everyone at risk. But what makes this scene so interesting is not the attack itself, it's Kayce's reaction. For a brief moment, he appears to be studying Dolly rather than focusing entirely on the attackers. That may not sound like much, but for someone like Kayce, instincts have always been one of his greatest strengths. He's survived countless dangerous situations because he knows when something doesn't feel right. And this time, something clearly doesn't. The question is simple. What exactly has changed? Why would Kayce suddenly start questioning someone he trusted before? I think the answer can be found in everything that happened during the Season 1 finale. By the end of the season, too many events had started connecting back to Tom Weaver. The attacks, the manipulation, the pressure placed on East Camp, and the efforts to force certain decisions all pointed toward a larger plan. The problem for Dolly is that the closer Kayce gets to understanding Tom's role in all of this, the harder it becomes for her to hide her own involvement. What makes Dolly such a dangerous character is that she rarely makes obvious mistakes. Unlike Tom, who often relies on force and intimidation, Dolly uses trust as her weapon. She convinces people that she's on their side. She gains their confidence. Then she quietly influences their decisions without them realizing what's happening. That's exactly why exposing her has been so difficult. Nobody suspects the person standing beside them. Nobody expects betrayal from someone who appears to be helping. But every manipulation eventually leaves clues behind. And Season 2 may finally be the point where those clues become impossible to ignore. The trailer also suggests that the conflict surrounding East Camp is far from over. In fact, it looks like things are about to become even more dangerous. If Tom is still trying to gain control, then attacking East Camp again would make perfect sense. We've already seen him create problems, and then use those problems to push people toward the decisions he wants. Creating fear has always been part of his strategy. The more unstable East Camp appears, the easier it becomes to convince others that drastic action is necessary. But here's where things get interesting. If this latest attack was organized by Tom, then Dolly's role becomes much more complicated. She's supposed to be helping maintain Kayce's trust. She's supposed to keep him focused on the wrong threats. Yet every new attack creates additional opportunities for mistakes. Every lie requires another lie to support it. And eventually, even the most carefully planned deception begins to fall apart. I also think another person may play a major role in helping Kayce discover the truth. Andrea's future remains one of the biggest unanswered questions heading into Season 2. At the end of Season 1, it looked like she was preparing to move on. But the trailer seems to suggest she's still very much involved in everything that's happening. And if that's true, she could become the key to exposing Dolly once and for all. The reason I say that is because Andrea has always been one of the most observant characters in the series. While others focus on the immediate danger, she's usually paying attention to the details that everyone else misses. She's not easily manipulated. She's not afraid to ask difficult questions. And perhaps most importantly, she genuinely cares about Kayce. If she begins noticing inconsistencies in Dolly's behavior, there's a very good chance she'll start investigating on her own. Imagine what happens if Andrea uncovers evidence connecting Dolly to Tom's operations. Suddenly everything changes. The attacks no longer look random. The betrayals no longer seem unrelated. Every strange coincidence begins fitting together into a much larger picture. And once that happens, Kayce may be forced to confront a reality he never wanted to believe. What would make that moment so powerful is the emotional impact. Discovering that an enemy is targeting you is one thing. Discovering that someone you trusted was helping that enemy all along is something completely different. That's the kind of revelation that changes a character forever. It doesn't just create anger, it destroys trust. It makes every previous interaction feel different. Every conversation gains a new meaning. Every act of kindness suddenly looks suspicious. And honestly, that's why I think the trailer is so exciting. For the first time, it feels like Dolly's position is becoming unstable. For the first time, it feels like the walls are starting to close in around her. She may still have secrets. She may still have influence. But if Kayce is finally asking questions, then her biggest advantage is beginning to disappear. The real danger for Dolly isn't Tom's enemies. The real danger is Kayce himself. Because once Kayce becomes convinced that something is wrong, he rarely stops until he uncovers the truth. And if Season 2 follows the path that the trailer seems to be setting up, we could be heading toward one of the most dramatic confrontations the series has ever delivered. The truth may finally be catching up to Dolly. And after everything we've seen in Marshals so far, it looks like Kayce could be closer than ever to discovering what's really been happening behind his back. The new Season 2 trailer may be short, but it contains some very interesting clues. And if those clues mean what I think they do, then Season 2 could completely change the story moving forward. One of the biggest moments in the trailer is the attack at East Camp. At first glance, it looks like just another attempt by Tom Weaver's people to create chaos. But what caught my attention wasn't the attack itself. It was Kayce's reaction. For the first time, he seems much more cautious about what's happening around him. Throughout Season 1, Kayce trusted Dolly again and again. No matter what happened, she always managed to stay close to him while somehow avoiding suspicion. But after everything that happened in the season finale, I think Kayce is finally starting to notice that something doesn't add up. The biggest problem for Dolly is that Tom's plan is becoming harder to hide. Every attack, every betrayal, and every suspicious event is creating more questions than answers. And the closer Kayce gets to the truth about Tom, the greater the chance he begins connecting Dolly to everything that's happened. That's why I don't think this season will be about whether Dolly's secret is exposed. I think it's about when it happens. What's especially interesting is that Dolly doesn't seem nearly as worried as everyone else during the trailer. While others are focused on surviving the attack, she appears surprisingly calm. Of course, that could mean nothing. But if we've learned anything from this series, it's that small details often become very important later on. And this could be another one of those moments. At the same time, I believe Andrea may play a huge role in helping Kayce discover the truth. Andrea has always been one of the smartest and most observant characters in the series. She notices things that other people miss. And if she stays in Montana instead of leaving, she may be the one who finally starts putting all the pieces together. Once that happens, it may only be a matter of time before Kayce learns exactly who Dolly has been working with. And honestly, that's what makes Season 2 so exciting. The danger isn't just coming from Tom Weaver anymore. The real danger comes from the secrets that are beginning to fall apart. If Kayce discovers that someone he trusted has been manipulating him all along, the consequences could be massive. Not only would it completely change his relationship with Dolly, but it could also start a war against everyone involved in Tom's operation. For now, the trailer seems to be telling us one thing. Dolly's position is becoming more dangerous with every passing day. And if Kayce keeps asking questions, the truth may not stay hidden for much longer. But what do you think? Will Kayce finally learn the truth about Dolly in Season 2? Or will she manage to manipulate him once again? Let me know your theories down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss any future Marshals updates.